You do more than almost anyone in that building, and somehow you are always behind. That is not a time management problem. That is not a discipline issue. That is proof that something else is happening entirely. Because exhaustion is supposed to mean you worked hard enough. Here, it means the system is working perfectly. The system is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. Keep watching. By the end of this, you will understand why the finish line keeps moving. And that understanding will change what you see every Monday morning. You wake up already calculating what is due today, who you might have annoyed yesterday, what you forgot to follow up on last Thursday. You are not disorganized. You have a system, color-coded, obsessively maintained, carefully tended. It is still not enough. You are at your desk by 8:15. The group chat is already moving on something you were not looped into. You find out the way you always find out. Last, through official channels, slightly behind everyone else. You reread your Slack message 3 times before sending. Not because you are unsure of the content, because you have learned that tone can be used against you. You bring backup slides to every meeting, slides nobody will ever ask for. You bring them because you have learned to expect dismissal. In the meeting, your point lands flat. 4 minutes later, Daniel rephrases it. The room nods. You write it down in a notebook at your desk, the one you never look back at. You stay late, not dramatically, just quietly, habitually, almost without noticing anymore. Because the morning never fully catches up with itself. You drive home replaying a comment your manager made at 3 p.m. You cannot tell if it was critical or neutral. You decide to assume neutral, then spend the entire commute second-guessing that decision. On a Tuesday, Priya books a blowout appointment at 2 p.m. She comes back at 4:15 and smells like dry shampoo. She has been named lead on a client renewal. Nobody thought she was involved in that account. She seems genuinely unaware this is unusual. She shares the news with a wide, easy smile. You say congratulations, and you mean it. And something small collapses quietly inside your chest. You are not lazy. You are not disorganized. You are not failing at discipline. You are exhausted in a way that sleep does not fix. Here is the part nobody names clearly. You are not behind because you are doing something wrong. You are behind because you are doing everything and being credited for almost none of it. The energy you spend on actual work is only a fraction of your daily output. The rest goes somewhere else. It goes into reading the social temperature before every interaction, into pre-managing how your words will land before you say them, into absorbing the cost of being in rooms where you are tolerated but not trusted. There is a name for this. It is called emotional tax. The invisible surcharge placed on people who cannot afford to be casually wrong. You pay it every single day, and it does not show up anywhere on your performance review. Here is how the office actually works. Decisions that affect your career are made before the meeting starts, in hallways, in lunch groups you are not part of, in the 9-minute conversation between your manager and the VP that you can see through the glass but cannot hear. By the time you sit down at that conference table, the outcome is already decided. The meeting is a ceremony. You are there to ratify what was agreed somewhere else. This is why you always feel slightly late to the information. You are. You find out through official channels, always just behind. Because the people who know things early know them through social proximity. Not competence, not merit. Through lunch, through hallway access, through already being inside the informal network where the real work gets decided. Culture fit is the filter nobody explains honestly. It is not a personality flaw. It is a social credential. And social credentials are distributed through proximity, not performance reviews. The people who assign work, praise work, and advance careers eat lunch together 3 times a week. This is not a conspiracy. It is compounding social interest. And you are not inside it. So you keep doing the visible work while they are doing the invisible kind. You check your email before your feet hit the floor in the morning. Not from ambition, from threat detection. Your nervous system has been trained to scan for danger. The CC that is missing from a thread it should be on. The reply that was too short to mean nothing. The meeting invite that did not include you. This is called hypervigilance, not anxiety in the clinical sense, a rational adaptation to an environment where small social signals carry real career consequences. You are not paranoid. You are calibrated. And being that calibrated costs enormous energy every single day. It does not show up on any output report. It does not get counted. It does not get credited. It just drains. You spend 30 minutes composing an email that takes others 4 seconds, not because you are a worse writer, because your emails carry more risk. The environment has taught you to internalize what it will not say out loud. You start wondering if you are difficult, not because anyone said so directly, because that is exactly how the system protects itself. It keeps you focused on yourself instead of the pattern underneath. You push harder for the raise, the title, the promotion. Each one requires more documentation than it should, more preparation, more evidence, more patience than should be required of anyone. Priya missed a deadline on a client deck. Her manager sent her a Slack message that said, "Hey, you okay? Want to push to Friday?" You have never missed a deadline. Last quarter, you submitted a file in the wrong template format. You received a written note in your performance file. Same building, same company handbook, same stated policies, completely different social physics. Priya is not doing anything strategic. She is simply operating in an environment that assumes she is fine. You are operating in an environment that assumes you need watching. Nobody told you these were different environments. The exhaustion is not from the hours. It is from existing in a system that makes you earn what others are simply given. Now widen the frame. What you are experiencing is not interpersonal bad luck. It is institutional math. Organizations are not neutral structures. They are self-preserving ones. They reproduce the people who already feel natural inside them. They reward what has always been rewarded, and they call that meritocracy. Here is how the self-preservation actually works. HR language manages liability, not fairness. Culture ad filters people by social familiarity disguised as organizational need. Leadership potential often means people who already remind existing leadership of themselves. Performance reviews are not objective documents. The same behavior reads as assertive or aggressive, depending on how the reviewer already feels about you. Documentation is not neutral. It reflects the story the organization has already decided to tell. The institution does not need to be malicious to cause real harm. It only needs to keep rewarding what it has always rewarded, and call that a system. Here is the cold truth underneath all of it. The finish line keeps moving, not because you are failing. It moves because the finish line was not designed for people who have to fight for every inch of ground. It was built for people who move through the building on inherited goodwill. You have been running 2 races simultaneously. One race shows up on paper, one race never does. The visible race is your output, your deadlines, your deliverables, your careful preparation. The invisible race is the constant social labor of surviving in an environment that does not extend you default trust. You have been winning the visible race and quietly losing ground in the invisible one, and nobody told you the second race existed. Once you can see both races, something shifts. You stop running the second one on autopilot. You stop mistaking the drain for your own failure. You stop asking what is wrong with you and start seeing what is wrong with the board. You are not behind because you do not work hard enough. You are behind because you have been doing the right things inside a system that was not built to reward you for them. That is not defeat. That is the first accurate picture you have had in years. And accurate is the only thing that actually moves anything. Seeing the board clearly is not a consolation prize. It is the only tool that changes how you move through every room from here.